Okay, so I see I had to wash my hair again already. It was seriously, that was not yesterday. Because yesterday I said would be day 2. And I said it would be, that sebum stuff would be all the way. And yeah, when I got, last time before I went to bed, I had to brush it and brush it and brush it. And it was all through my hair, already completely saturated down to the ends. This morning when I got up, my hair was just like this wet lump of sebum. I don't know what the fuck. I don't understand it. It used to take like a week or two. Like when I was going through the getting off this shampoo, now I don't know what the hell. I don't know. It doesn't like the aloe vera shampoo. It doesn't like the castor oil shampoo. Like I don't even know. I don't even know anymore. Like it's real nice though. This right when I first wash it, it feels so soft and like airy as this stuff comes, because it'll start being out within, I don't know, by this afternoon. This whole part right here will start being all wet, and then it will look all wet and it'll be heavier, and then and so then by tomorrow I'll have to put on the dry shampoo, and then by tomorrow afternoon it'll be dry. Like it's weird. I don't know, it's weird. And then last night it was constantly being woke up. It wasn't as aggressive, but it was definitely non-stop, non-motherfucking stop. It doze off, wake up, doze off, wake up. I have total awareness. It is something from the other side pushing, and or something here pulling, but it's something that's disrupting that peaceful time or something. And it's just this constant disruption. And now when I started saying it, I thought it sounded so nutty. Now I'm seeing a lot more people talking about it, that we're under some sort of psychic assault, that there's a lot of people who are complaining about it. So anyways, if you are noticing, like, it's real, like, it's fucking frustrating too. Like, god damn, like some of this stuff is weird. It's like we're battling stuff that we don't even know or see. Some people don't even know. It's like, I don't know. This whole thing is just wild. And I'll tell you another thing that's so wild is, so the other day, there is, I catch my breath. It keeps feeling like there's not enough air here. Like, I feel like I do this all the time. I can just be talking to Stella, and it's like, oh, I catch my breath. I gotta pull in some air. It's like there's not enough air. It's weird. I don't know how to explain it. But I feel like we're way up in the atmosphere or something, or up on an elevation or something. It's weird. But so the lady who was a California lady who I talked about, she was the van, lives in the van, who woke up the other night with the rain and whatnot. So she messages, like, she comments, and like I talk to her. And I can't remember. It seems like, because a lot of the people who talk to me, they always have a certain thing that, like, if I do a video that has something that they are interested in, then they'll talk to me about that. And I don't remember. It seems like she's always interested in, like, the health stuff, like, since I started doing the hair thing, but I don't know. I can't remember. But that's what we're always talking about. So that is, the other day she had asked me something about it with the copper, and, like, saying that she really wants to do that. She'll come in and say, like, really, oh, I wish, like, she's definitely in the age, like, probably around my age, maybe a little bit younger, but starting to feel like aging. And, and I'm, like, talking about the other way of aging and how to take care of yourself. So she'll ask me stuff. And so she had asked me a question the other day, and it was like a long answer. So I did a whole video talking about it. And oh my gosh, it's like, I don't know. I guess it's going viral. It's not, I don't know when viral is or whatever. It's just getting tons and tons and tons of people on my thing asking me questions and following me and talking to me about it and stuff. And Like right now, I think yesterday when I went to bed, it was like 1,500 or a couple thousand views. Now it's 15,000. When I got up this morning, it was like 100 new followers or something. Like I was getting followers all yesterday too. So it's like, I don't know, a lot of people are interested in their health, and you start talking about it and they're like, fuck, I think people are feeling the pressure and stuff. And this stuff is real, and it's so wild is, I'm getting all these comments, which all the comments that I woke up to this morning, they were all like positive, 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 just asking questions and stuff. And then, so I was answering them, and then, you know, when I answered them all, whatever, you pull it and it redoes it. And then some more comments popped up, and they were long, and it was like one of them was one person who had done a bunch of these big ones. So I started reading them, because that always goes one way or the other. It either goes where they're telling you a thing or two, or they really want to talk about something. Because I've left ones that are long with a bunch before. And so this person left a bunch, so I started reading them. But she is saying that this lady is trying to give medical advice, and she doesn't know, you got to go to a doctor, you got to be tested, all this stuff. It's like, oh my gosh. So I went and looked, and of course it's a bot account anyways. But it was so, kept trying to say like I was passing on bad medical advice or some kind of stuff. Like, it was just nonsense. And the thing is too, is it's weird, because my medical advice, based on my own history and my own knowledge, and I mean, I did go to school for it. I did go out and work in the field. I did participate in the area of expertise that I speak of. So I'm not just making shit up. And I mean, the stuff I'm saying is real. And all this stuff too is, you can go look it up under naturopathic and herbalists and stuff like that. And it's the people's dependency on the medical is why they don't see the other. But the medical isn't there to make you better. The natural stuff will make you better. And like on one of my comments, this one person was like, that they have, that they should start drinking the copper water and stuff. They've also got heart disease. They really need to start focusing, because I keep saying about the minerals. We've got a mineral deficiency. Because you think about, our food used to have minerals. Our food used to grow out of the ground. The soil used to have minerals. And then there's a whole thing too of like, even in agriculture or something, when they just keep stripping the land. And see that our science minds, our controllers know this shit. And so they keep stripping the same soil. So really, because the soil needs to, it's kind of like these dog breeders too, because they just keep using the same thing and depleting these fucking poor dogs and shit. Like, God, and then they just throw them away. God, I'm so sick of those videos. But it is that the soil needs that rotation too. It needs to skip skip a heat, skip a grow period, and have nutrition put back into the soil, like like a bunch of rotten food and stuff. Feed the soil, give the soil back nutrition, not poison it. Like, they've got everybody poisoning their soil. It needs to be fed nutrition, which brings in like bugs and stuff, that it brings life, brings life back into the soil. And so that's what you need to do, is bring life back in the soil. But they need like a rotation to keep the soil healthy. And they've just keep stripping these same ones, depleting the soil, then putting all this crap in the air, which depletes. There's so much depletion. And then with the water, Like, it's so wild when you really think about how we used to drink out of like streams and wells. I mean, for a long time. I mean, there's still countries where they have to go and take things down to a stream to get water and take it back to their village or whatever. And so and they're getting healthier water probably. It depends, because they can take water like that in a certain source when they're trying to attack a certain group of people, and they will make their water poisonous. But that is what they're doing, like they did it in isolated places. Like I've said, they always do this, like isolated places. And then it's like they can keep it a secret. Once it gets out, like Flint is what I keep thinking about. Of course, it's not fixed yet, is it? And then, so then they just go bigger. It's like they do it in tests. Like they're always beta testing. Let's see how this works. And then they go bigger. So that's why we're all under this big assault. But in the time, though, because right now there's such an assault on it because it's all coming up to the surface. But when we look back, because this is what's been going on, it's what we've accepted for so long. Like, and I don't know, it's weird because our acceptance is just a passive submissiveness, literally. And so it wasn't like a written agreement where we're all making contracts. Okay, we agree to this. No, it's like we just always submit. We always just are passive. And then, but they used to, the rocks and stuff in the water give minerals. So all the stuff that's in the water gives mineral. Even there's all these algae and products and stuff, which still kind of trips me out on that shilajit. Because if it really is like you're taking the life essence out of a giant's organs, and then you're eating, I don't know. Fuck. I mean, I look at the salt rock thing so different now. Like, oh, I don't know. All this stuff is so weird. But but there used to be in the water there was minerals. Now they've added so much poison in the they just have been caught dumping fucking that shit in the water. They've been caught spraying it. They spray like there's so much. And so it's like cover all the bases, make sure we can't get to healthy water. Then they come up with they supply the water. And it's just really weirding me out too. Yesterday, when about, the water, and there was a white truck, and I don't know if it was like the water, if it even was the waterman, some weirdo white truck creeping around. This weirdo white truck. The water guy's always fucking just going around and going up and checking people's stuff. But it's so weird. I mean, it's really weird. This whole water thing is fucking gangster. That's the thing. You take a neighborhood and then you say, okay, this is your water. This is your garbage. This is such fucking gangster shit, man. And they're like, okay, this is your water. Now we are in charge of it. Oh my God. And then fucking poison it, charge a goddamn fortune. What was that I just had too that just went up? Fucking Xfinity. $160, no. Is it 180 now or something? Like nearly $200 for internet. And this wackadoo little fucking alarm thing and this wackadoo Wi-Fi phone. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm so fucking... I just, like, you just want to just, like, go fuming and just, like, lose your goddamn mind over this fucking shit. I just gotta keep being like, okay, it's their fucking fake-ass money. I'm not getting caught up in their fucking bullshit. Take all your fake-ass money. Hurry up, take it all. Let's crash this shit. Like, it's so fucking absurd. Like, they just suck the life out of you. Fucking, I can't even believe. Yesterday, I went to the store, and, mayonnaise. I looked at the mayonnaise, $10 fucking dollars. And then another thing, I was like, if Heinz 57 isn't very expensive, I think I'll get some Heinz. I just love that stuff. And $10 fucking dollars for Heinz 57. I was like, okay, that's wagadoo shit. It's like, It's just this whatever, this scenario, this world, this reality that we're in has lost its goddamn mind. But that's why it's going to crash. It's like fucking inflated itself. It's like ridiculous. And the corruption, the fucking water, like that is some fucking bullshit, man. When you really think about our neighborhood, we have our own water district. Why aren't we just on a goddamn well? Like, what? And why, and this is what they do too. Like, these rural neighborhoods go in, people go out and they build their little places, they put in their little wells. Then they'll fucking come in and they'll say, oh no, there's something wrong with the water or the well or something. This is something they do all the time, because I've been seeing them do this shit. And they're doing it right now with due to storms or due to fires or whatever. It's all toxic environment now. So they pull these shenanigans. And so then they'll say the water's bad. Everybody's got to get on this. The city's going to do them a favor. They're going to supply water. It's going to cost a lot. We're going to put in pipes and shit, but we're going to get you guys covered. And it's like the fucking opposite. It's like fucking, that's where we always submit. It's like, oh no, thanks. I'll keep my own water. I'll deal with my own fucking well. You keep your own fucking sewer shit. Is either just fucking take your sewage and then just go through this fucking chemical, stripping up more nutrients and putting more chemicals. And besides the fact they've already said that other shit from other people's sicknesses, other people's pills, like fucking, I bet you so many people here are on antidepressants, all fucking heart disease pills, blood pressure pills, fucking diabetes shit, like all these people. Like, you're drinking that water and you're getting all their shit, all their stuff that they can't clean out with these chemicals. They haven't come up with enough chemicals yet to really thoroughly clean the water. We can't get it all out. We're trying. Pretty soon we're just going to feed you just damn peroxide. I was like, okay, well, there's no nutrition in that. So we'll see how that goes. I'm like, this is absurd. Like, seriously. And then when you try and tell people, like, there's no nutrition, you got to fucking go at this. And it's depleting your body. And you got to take this into your own hands. You got to take matters into your own hands. And people are like, oh my God, don't listen to that crazy person. That person's trying to lead you down a dark path. Oh my God. And so, yeah, there's definitely a force out there that's trying to hold people back. Yeah, it's like build up on their insecurities. But it really does seem like there's a lot more people that are a lot more like power hungry onto their own selves, like want to power through, want to start taking care of themselves. Like, more and more people are seeing through the bullshit. And the bullshit is so clear. I mean, Jesus Christ. And then so there's no minerals in the water. There's no minerals in the soil. Then they make these fucking GMO foods or whatever the fuck with this artificial shit. So there's no, in the fucking frequency lately, god damn, it is so fucking intense. This motherfucking weather, all this shit, the fucking fog all the goddamn time here is absurd. Fucking explosions. Yesterday I was standing in the kitchen again, the whole fucking floor started vibrating. I was like, what in fucking hell? Like, God, I just want this stuff to just hurry up and go. It's like, fuck, man, it's all this like, ooh, build up right to the constant, the stuff. Oh, and there's also so much stuff going on with our girl. Oh my God. And there's so much shit going on in California. There's so much stuff going on in the system. She was in a place, and it's just all this. It's just all bullshit. All the insurance, all of it, and it's all coming to the surface. And even when you try and tell people ahead, like, okay, well, this isn't gonna work. I've told people too. Like, even when they were doing some of the stuff, and I told her, I said, yeah, well, the system is collapsing. Like, when she was here and I was having serious talks, I was like, the system is collapsing. You've got to figure out how to save yourself. Like, there is no one out there to save you. You've got to save yourself. And now there's a whole fucking ordeal going with insurance, like it's just, but all the challenges, you got to remember, all the challenges are there for you. You set that shit up. No, it's not happening just because, oh, I got up this morning in a bad mood, so now my whole day is going to be fun. No, it's set. It's already set. Your day is set. You get up in the morning, it's set. And you're going to have a bad attitude, then, yeah, it's going to be a hard day. You got to adjust the attitude. You got to just be like, okay, let's see what this day brings. And, you know, there is definitely, you know, that part of that. And, you know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, like, sometimes I feel like I'm so bitchy, like this is bullshit, but have a good attitude about it, so, I don't know, but, you know, you gotta do you can't do me, and my own attitude is what I have to face, you know, and, but, I do think you gotta just like laugh some stuff off. It's not like you can't see it. Like, this shit is dragging. Definitely is dragging. Like, it's just the wildest thing. I just cannot believe. January 2021, I thought this show would have been over by February. Girl. February, March, April at the latest. Now he's practically served a whole term. Like, this is just, so yeah, this drags, man. This drags out like a motherfucker. But it is this constantly exposing nonsense and shit. And it is all about people waking up. And people are waking up in masses. But there's still, it's like they wake up, but it's not like they're awake. The awakening is such a process. So even when people start waking up, it's just catching their attention. That's what it's like. They're trying to catch people's attention because people are so locked into being on autopilot and just, you know, I don't have time to think. I've got to get where I'm going and get what I've got to get done and just focus. And then the reactiveness, like it's such a toxic way to live, and they keep us all living like that, and so many people think that's the only way to live. But so this is like snapping to wake people up, but it is like this, to me it keeps being like this gentle kind of awakening thus far of you know, just the horribleness. You know, and there's a lot of horribleness. Like, that's something people have to wake up to. And so all of that stuff. And so that people wake up and they start waking up to the horribleness. But they're not like going further into it. Then you have the group of people who wake up and they're like, whoa, I have a soul. Like, I'm a spirit. Oh my God, I'm a super spirit. I'm above everybody else. Like, and then they even come out, yeah, the rest of you guys, you don't even have a soul. You're NPCs. You're just hearing my story. Oh my God. And I'm leaving the Matrix. I will no longer come into the Matrix. Oh, this stuff is so wild. And so, anyways, so you have people waking through different parts. But yeah, it all leads to this more massive, effective awakening where you start really, it's not because there's so much of this shit, dude. So much of this, like, manifest, you got to do this to manifest what you want. You got to do this to manifest this. You got to do this to manifest that. It's like, dude, your life is set. You cannot manifest something that is not supposed to be there. It is, and it's hard to explain because it is, they tell you what to go towards. It isn't you're manifesting it. They'll tell you, they'll direct you towards your manifestations and keep you on track. It's you who has to keep yourself on track because you'll be filled with doubt And it's challenges, you know, you'll be challenged on the way towards your manifestation, towards your best timeline. But your best timeline is set. It's there. It's you came in to accomplish. It's not just like, oh, well, maybe today if I get up and I remember something, then I'll have a whole new life. It's, yeah, this is hard to explain because it's just so backwards how like people look at it, because it's like, I hear these people all the time, and they seem to to feel that they have some sort of ability to just jump timelines, like get away from something that you don't want instead of healing or dealing with it, which that's counterproductive to what you're doing here. And then because it's always like this, it's just like trying to tell people how to get on their best timeline, like by believing that you can accomplish whatever. Like, I don't know. To me, it's so backwards the way that they're approaching it. So in the awakening, it would be more of an evolution of understanding how to really manifest, or how to use your life to your best abilities or your best interests, to be more efficient in your living time. So it's so that to me is what the awakening is about, is so much more about your soul and you coming into this union, a partnership with your soul, and not these people who think that they're better somehow. That's ego. Like they're so stuck in ego. But that is what the shadow self is about. Your shadow is your ego. So the shadow is all these people who don't recognize their own ego. And they don't recognize that they are full of themselves. Like, and they're divisive. Like all these groups are still so divisive. I mean, even these super spirits, look how divisive they are over all these other people who are awakening. And look at how they isolate their experience. They won't even take in the entire experience. They isolate and then only take in what it is that they feel is not going to bring their vibe down. They're divisive towards people who talk about real things. They're divisive towards, so that is, I don't understand what it is that they come up with that they think they're super spirits. Like, I don't get it. Just to me, all I see is like, they just don't understand spirituality. They don't understand this place. And they're just really up in their own ego, real high. And so all these different groups, that's still the part that we have to face. That's still the real awakening. The rest of this is just getting people's attention. Then there's going to be this like, now we have your attention, now bam. And one thing too, as I keep seeing these people, there are so many people who are so convinced that the BRICS is a part of it's like the commies are coming in to take us over, and that they're only going to give us this and, all that. And, well, China's part of it and all that stuff. You got to look into Nisargasara. You've got to look into this, more into the banking, more into the gold and how they repress gold and silver to drive up their, like there's a whole thing to the money, and it is so corrupt, and their contracts, their fucking credit, all their shit is all corrupt, and so it's all crashing. You can't keep going, and so it's going to crash. And the BRICS is the gold stand. It's going back to the gold, and the gold was already being confiscated, and in all these different executive orders. And this is only in America that we even know about, which probably there's a lot of them that live here, but I'm sure it's in these other countries too. I'm sure in, over in the Star place outside the Strip, I'm sure that there is you know, a lot of people with big money. But all those people who have committed any crimes against people, especially children, they are going to have everything taken from them, is confiscated. But they had already gone in. It was like 600 planefuls of gold that they took from the Vatican. What is that called? The Oriental? No. The Chinese Empire. Maybe it was the Chinese Empire. It was one of these old empire, these, as you got to think of like when it went back, where it was like places weren't, you know, like in America, there's all these different people. There's all this diversity. It wasn't like that. It was like people lived in their villages with their people or whatever, and you had your culture. And so a lot of the different places had like an empire, some kind of a leader. Some of them were kings, a military leader, like there's some sort of a leader, and there had to be, during certain times, it had to be very much like, if you didn't have an army to back you, like there is a lot of stuff that you learn watching that show, The Vikings. It's brutal, but historically, as there was smaller countries that would have to take a knee to another bigger one, so that they didn't get all their people killed, so that this one becomes like this king, like Paris, like he was pretty notorious, I think, at going and taking more. Then they take their they send their soldiers out, they take the land or whatever, see it, and then they can make more soldiers. There's so much manipulation, fucking always bothering these fucking villagers and shit. But so the people who were like the empires back then, they would hoard like all these jewels and gold and stuff to make themselves be more powerful. It was like they would look at it as like who had the most people, the most soldiers, and the most money, the most land. It was all this power tripping and all this fighting and arguing over stuff like that. Like, fuck, we're going into different times, baby. Man. And so the all that gold and stuff has been like held. This money that they got from the Chinese Empire or whatever, it was like down in these tunnels or something. It was like room after room after room stacked full of gold up to the ceiling, supposedly. And I've heard that from more than one source. But, you know, I mean, anything that's leaked out could be from somewhere else, but it makes sense. But they had been taking all of this gold, and they were emptying the Federal Reserve and bankrupting the corporation. So all that stuff has been going on for a couple of years. And the people, in order to sign on to the BRICS nation, which if you are a nation outside of the BRICS in the what's to come, you would be in isolation, total isolation. And all of the different countries are going to be signing on. The ones that aren't signed on right now, the reason why it's all this battling and warring is because the leaders are battling with the controllers, the bankers and shit. So they are the science, the corporation, like these certain group of people, and they are pushing on them. It's not on us, it's pushing on them to collapse them. Because then once that goes, then there's actual something that backs the money. This is what they're doing right now. There's nothing that backs it. And that's why it's all being exposed. And that's why these other countries are saying, fuck you, you fucking controlling assholes. And America has pulled shenanigans for a fucking long time. That's what it's built on. It's built on, you know, a kind of, man, there's a lot of, it's just so much bullshit and so much shadiness. So it's like overwhelming, because it's like, well, we're going to do this, but we're going to make sure this happens. So all this bad stuff, it's like everything is just so, ugh. And like bring in all these people to create diversity so that we can have diversity, so we can use it to our benefit and create division. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of the shenanigans. So the But the money thing is in order to sign on to the BRICS, like, you have to sign, it's a peace treaty. You have to sign a peace treaty. This is all a big show. And because they've all signed on, there's already a bunch that have signed on, and it's all a peaceful transition in power. This is all about peace. That's why I said it's going to be scary, and there can be some bad things that are going to happen because there's two forces fighting, and so the bad ones are trying to, they're fighting, and I don't know how much of it is, diffused and how much of it is part of the show. But there's definitely people who are going to be leaving. Like, oh my gosh, yesterday too, when I was driving and town, there was a wreck out here on these mountain roads. Like, you see some crazy fucking wrecks, and they had just happened, and the firemen and all that just pulled up, and it was like a lot of chaos, and this fireman's running, but the car, I don't even know which direction it was going, because it's a 2-lane highway, so it's just, you're hit head on. And so, and it's going around all these turns, and it's like 55 miles an hour. Yesterday it was raining over here. And then as you start going, then you go into the clear. I swear to God, you just leave one realm to another. I swear to God. And then, so the, however they were going, I don't know, because it's like they flew off the road out into the field, but it's not like a field, it's like a forest, but then turned upside down and hit into a tree. But everything was like, you could not tell. Like, and that was that other wreck that I had seen before too, where, and theirs went right perfect into the ditch, like perfectly turned, went down into the ditch. I was like, weird. This one too, it was so weird. And the way the fireman was running from the car, I thought, ooh, somebody must be trapped in there. But then when I got to the store, the ambulance went by and it didn't have sirens on. Because I was like, fuck, I don't see how anyone could live through that fucking thing. How did they even go through these trees and get in there and get flipped like that? And I was like, they were on their side, up against a tree, in the middle of all these trees. Like, it was weird. Like, yeah, but I said there's going to be weird accidents. Weird, crazy accidents. They're just going to be taking people out. Just like, boom, gone. Boom, gone. There's going to be so much of that. And, but that's just them leaving the game. They're just out of the game. But, the trauma still exists. The loss still exists for the people. But the loss and the trauma is to push the people to wake up, to heal, to let go of past life stuff. Like, there's a lot of shit going on. That's why you got to tune into yourself, your own awareness, because you have a lot of stuff going on as a part of this evolution of self. And, not everybody has to get to the same place. It's not like you have to get to the enlightenment. It's not even like you have to travel that path. It is, but it is in a period of time of transition where you have to face yourself. You have to let go of things, and you have to move forward in a different direction. So that has to happen. Like, you can't get away from that, because we're having this drastic change in reality where there's so much of this dark is being purged out, where we get to go where there's just light. It's so much more pleasant. But see, the people who would be going right now, they would turn it into the same thing because they carry all this darkness. So that's why this has to be purged out. That's why this event has to happen. This big boom to really scare the shit out of them. Scaring the shit out of them is like where you have to realize, oh, what am I scared of? Like, it's what I call the come to Jesus moment. It's like, well, all is lost. Like, where are you, Jesus? Where are you? What's real? Was anything real? What am I? Where am I? What am I doing here? It's an existential crisis. And so many people in their ego, they are just so sure they know it all. And, so that is why you see it coming. You see it coming. All these people are like, I know everything and listen to me. And it just was going to be like this boom collapse. And I know, too, I am hearing so many more people say the stuff I'm saying. So I really don't think my stuff is way out there wacky. I think it's more and more people are catching on, and that this is what this is all about. And it is about this cyclic event. It is the cycles of the universe. It's an ending and a beginning. And we're riding this wave. And it's fucking choppy as a motherfucker. Like, god damn. And that's why I think we have so much audience, and we have so much interference. It's like, fuck, man. It is like we are in the Colosseum. Like, we're on the stage. We're in the Colosseum. This is the battle. This is the battle that is being observed. And it is, fuck, it's intense. And it is like, what do you do? What do you do with your information? How do you get through the day? How do you feel? Well, how do you feel when the whole world's falling apart? And but the universe is trying to promote everyone to go inside and look at themselves and to recognize and see what it is that they hold on to in their pain and stuff. So many of these people, this is a total pattern I see over and over and over. And I've been watching this stuff for years. This isn't just like, oh, all of a sudden today. No, I've been going through this for a while, this awakening and observation, because my awakening already happened. So I've been observing, and it's like creating my own data, watching and observing and making my own conclusions, and then sharing them. And so the in the data, the people are when the people get, okay, let me think what it was now. I always do that. The people awakening, what was it? Oh yeah. Okay, so the people who are awakening, when they get challenged, they will go further in. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like the girl who is, I mean, super attractive, super successful, appears by really successful. Like, you think this girl is like, a lawyer going to her practice, and she goes to the gym afterwards. She's this big mane of hair and very attractive. Like, tons of guys are always hitting on her. And she's looking for something, but she's putting it all out there all the time. Like I've said, like, she'll get in these, like, she's always just selling herself. And I don't think she realizes it, because then, she was saying something, complaining about something or something. And then she was getting attacked, and this keeps happening. She's definitely one of those people who has an account that talks about, like she wants to date, but then she'll talk about the people that she's interacting with. And that bothers a lot of people. Like, it's like, there's a lot of things that people do that they just don't, they're so caught up in their own stuff, they don't think about how it affects other people and how they're coming off. They're just caught up in their own stuff. And so then the other day, somebody told her, she was a whore. And I don't know what the whole thing was. The only way I would take it is that, because it's really bothering her. She's the one who keeps talking about it. And that it's because when people see people selling themselves, like, that's their most simplest term that they can come up with. But inside of themselves, what they're witnessing is somebody just degrading themselves, just selling themselves out. And with the people who are doing it, don't realize. And so, like I said, she got, like, offended. And I've seen this with this other girl too, over and over. Like, somebody will do something and they'll just lock in harder. And so she was arguing or whatever, and she was saying, it really hurts my feelings. And, she was, whatever, it was her thing. I wasn't watching it all. But then she comes in this video, it was no talking, just some music. And I don't know how you could put a smaller amount of clothes on. This was like a string. It was like, and it was red. So it was like you're trying to be like, I don't know. There was something like devilish about it. Like, you want to call me a whore? Here we go. It was the smallest fucking swimming suit I've ever seen in my life. Like, I am not shitting you about, it was like a string going across the fucking nipples and then a couple more strings. Like, it was wild. And then that was her video. Just her sitting there, you know, doing some posing in this tiny swimming suit to some music. See what I'm saying is, like, people are locking in rather than face themselves and be like, man, am I being desperate? Am I coming across like some sort of whore? Like, I just take anybody, please. Somebody just take me. And then anybody who comes and takes me, then I'm going to ridicule them and put them down and tell them they're not good enough. Like, and then I'm going to complain about there's nobody good enough. Like, you know, I don't know. All these different things, though, are going to keep blowing up. And and I've said for a long time, it is so weird how, like, you can see through people, but they can't see themselves. Like, you can see through. You can see, like, this side of people that they think they're hiding. They think that nobody can see it, but it's so obvious. It's so clear. It's like you feel embarrassed for them. It's like, oh God, I feel so embarrassed. Like, you're just coming across, and she's not the only one. There's a bunch. There's lots. Like, this is an energy that is being purged out of our society right now. And the thing is that energy to the person, like I said, it's intoxicating. They don't recognize it in the same way. To those of us, the observers, we can see the energy. It's when the energy affects them. That is that time of, like, oh my God, what am I doing? And give me some clothes, somebody. It's like, it's that sudden, all of a sudden, like, oh my God, this realization, the lights come on. And that is that humility. That's that, that's when your soul, that's when you feel that judgment, is when you connect to your soul. And you feel like your soul standing there going like, oh my God, why do you not have clothes on? There happens to be somebody who wants to respect you up there in the future. And they're going to love you and respect you. But what are you doing? What are you doing out here? You know, why are you disrespecting yourself? Well, I got to learn. I got to learn what it means to respect myself. I got to learn what it means to love myself. You know, and it's a learning curve. You know, it trips me out too, because this was on my mind. It was Crystal or Sarah has said something about the eyebrows and saying, you know, like, that they wanted to do their eyebrows or something. And I don't, like, do my eyebrows. I just have, like, that. It's like a mascara kind of thing. And I always used it. It's just like this liquid mascara stuff. You can just, like, brush it on your eyebrow hairs. And then I started making my own with the, what's that stuff called? Charcoal. Which I ate a charcoal pill last night because yesterday was so horrible. I had such a bad migraine. It just kept building and building. And I don't know if it was to remind me after I was bitching about all those drugs and stuff I was on, if it was to remind me how bad it was. It was so fucked, man. It was horrible. And all I wanted to do was just go to sleep and try and get rid of it. It still is, like, kind of there, like, where you're just like, oh, please don't come back. Please don't come back. Oh, I'll do whatever it takes. I don't want to have a headache again. And it just keeps being like, oh, just move a little bit more. It's horrible. And so yesterday was totally fucked. And so I took a charcoal pill. I thought, well, maybe it's because it was so fucking foggy. And it's like, you know, we're under attack all the motherfucking time. So I took a charcoal pill. Now I feel like I don't know. I swear to God, it's like, is there a monster inside of me that's trying to move through my stomach right now? There's something that, it hurts. Like, it's weird. Like, there just keeps being all this weird stuff. And definitely your pee changes smells. When you start taking in all these minerals, it's really weird. You know, at first when I was smelling, I was like, oh my gosh, does my pee stink? Like, what the hell? And now that it keeps going, now it's like, oh, now I can smell it. Now you can smell, like, oh my gosh, my pee smells like nutrition, like minerals. It smells like, ugh. And you know what's interesting too is, like, dogs, You know how they're always smelling pee? Like my dog will go out and smell a leaf for bugging. You know, okay, we're gonna stand here and smell this dog's pee for however long. And then they'll go and pee on that pee, or they'll go poop next to that poop, or next to that pee or whatever. Like they will sniff and sniff and sniff, and then they'll go. But they are leaving behind is their DNA. And I've even noticed that Stella will go and pee in a place and then go back to check and see what's like, and even eat the grass, because there is something to that. Like there's something more to it than what we understand. And like I don't think we're all gonna go out and start peeing on the ground and sniffing it or something to find each other or whatever. But I don't know. There's weird stuff. Like I think probably if we did go out and pour our pee out, something like if we peed like before when they used to pee in buckets and stuff, then they made outhouses. But before, when they used to just go in like in a bucket or a little like bowl or thing and then go out and dump it, I bet you in the area, like you could dump it in a garden, and I bet it would start growing things that were like nutritionally supplemented for your body. Like the soil would read your urine and compensate and grow. Like I bet you, because there's something to it. Like there's something to it. And I just watched Stella and stuff about it, and then just listening about it and stuff. So anyways, I just think that there's things like that we probably, could do or we don't know about, and it seems kind of weird or strange. But I think we're moving away from how we were getting nutrition. And like I said before, like I've always been weird about food. I was super, super picky. My mom always says I stopped eating meat when I was little. It grossed me out. I would always start chewing it, and I would feel like I was eating the flesh of a person or something. That's why I said like a long time ago, I don't know if I was in Donner's thing or whatever. I definitely, in my imprint of self, have a recognition about eating flesh that I don't like. And so I don't like it, and I don't eat it, and I never have. And so you have these things inside of you that come from somewhere, and the more you can connect to where they come from, the more you can understand yourself. But I had a lot of things that I was different as a kid than other kids. Like I wouldn't drink milk. I wouldn't, then when it was time to start drinking like coffee and stuff, I would only drink tea. And it just is so funny because that seems like so nonchalant at this time in our lives. But back then, I'm telling you, it was so strange. It was so strange to not eat meat, to drink tea. And that is, in other cultures, it's so normal. And that's why I say, I don't know if it's because I was from this other culture, and then I came here and that other culture was so much a part of me or whatever. Like, those are all the things, like, you just don't really know. But it was definitely, a part of me. But on the eyebrow thing, so somebody was saying about doing the eyebrows. And so it was making me think about my eyebrows. And I was thinking, it's so funny because I don't think my eyebrows were ever like some wild, a lot of eyebrow, like where I had to pluck a lot. But it seemed like that there used to be like a few hairs that would be like around. And I would say something like when I was a teenager about plucking my hair, or plucking my eyebrows. I think I plucked a few hairs. My mom was like, don't do that. Don't pluck them. If you pluck them out, they'll go away. You won't have them. They won't grow back. And then as you get older, your hairs will fall out. You'll have less eyebrows anyways. So you don't want to pluck them. So I was like, okay. So she gave me a lot of good advice, like through things. Like that's one thing when people like look back and they think, oh, my mom sucked, my life sucked, and all that stuff. You gotta also look at the good things. There's a lot of good things. There's a lot of, a hard mom makes a strong woman, or it can make one that's very dependent and sad and falling apart. You know, that's where you got to pick which direction you go. But so she had told me, you know, not to pluck them and stuff. And so I didn't. And I would always have people tell me I had these perfect eyebrows. Oh God, you have perfect eyebrows. They're so perfect. Perfect arch. And I could never say, like, complain about my eyebrows. It was always like, oh my God, your eyebrows are so perfect. And the same thing when I would go and say something about my nose. And they'd be like, oh my God, your nose is perfect. This is what people come in and ask to have their nose look like when they come into plastic surgeon's office. Like, I would complain about all these things on my face. Like my eyebrows, I thought, okay, well, maybe they're perfect eyebrows, but not on my face. They look silly. They don't fit my face. My nose, same thing. And it was all on these cheeks. I was so focused on my cheeks that all I could see was my cheeks, and everything else just looked weird. Nothing fit. Nothing worked. It doesn't fit, and it doesn't belong on my face. I was so much like that for so long. So long. I would just look at my face and I would just think, God, I'm just a fucking, what is that called? A menagerie? Yeah, like a menagerie of complicated, strange features that don't go together. And I just kept feeling like, man, I've just got all these strong features that don't go together. And I kept feeling like I just look so strange. And then, but it's only through the healing and stuff where I've come into like, oh, I like my face. It goes together. My eyebrows, like, why did I ever think that it didn't go together? It's weird. It's weird when you come to that realization, especially when you lived for so so hard on yourself, so mean to yourself, so just like, man, you know, I mean, I was out there getting implants, getting Botox. Fuck, I feel so fucking fortunate that I did not keep that job at that plastic surgeon's. Like, what the hell would I look like by now? Oh, and in that one, it was totally lucky because, man, I thought I scored when I got that job. Like, fuck, primo job. Like, fuck, find a nurse that doesn't want to have a job at a plastic surgeon's office. Like, it was like fucking primo. And during that time, all the plastic surgeons for their Christmas bonus would always give a procedure. Even when I got that job, I've had a couple of friends, don't start going and looking all crazy now. Don't start getting all this shit done to your face. And I was like, oh, I won't. You know that you would. You just would. It would always be something. Oh, you should do this. You should try this. And then you have like anything bothering you, and they'll fix it. And then pretty soon you're just like, distorted, fucking, like you thought your features were weird before. Then they just make them like, oh my God, I've seen some fucking nightmares. I guess there's some doctors on TikTok that share some to, I guess, talk about it. Oh my God, there is some wacky shit people are getting done to their face. I don't know. The part of trying to keep their eyes open too, and they're doing these weird things to people's eyes. Like you look like normal, and then all of a sudden it's like you got your eyes pulled and pulled out. Like it's really weird looking. And I feel like, oh my God, I was so lucky to lose that job. And that was because there was a comment from somebody I think named Alicia. And then it came up in my emails, which was weird because I'll get notifications in my emails and I'll go in and I'll check them. And they always align with my notifications in the thing. There's only been a couple of times when I've gone in and I can see there's a comment, but it will not let me get to the comment at all. And this happened yesterday with this one from this Alicia. And but normally I just don't get any notification. But 100% no, I'm not deleting anybody's comments. No, on TikTok, yeah, I will delete a comment, but not on here. I'm not deleting anybody's comments. And it's YouTube doing it. It's YouTube blocking them. It's YouTube deleting them. It's YouTube doing all. They flip my fucking numbers and shit. Like they turn views back. They do all sorts of shenanigans, you know. And so, you know, if you were messaging me and you're really trying to say something, you may just email me. And the email is in the description, but I don't have my descriptions I haven't been doing the descriptions because they blocked that. They won't let me copy and paste. They won't let me paste anything. I have to write it all out every time. I was like, fuck that. And, but if you go to an old description, like you should be able to go into, oh my God, still in her farting. You should be able to go into, like if you go up to the videos and you go to like, I don't know, go to one that's like, it's limited that to me too. I used to be able to go to oldest. No, I can't even get to old videos. I don't even know where they are. And so you can go to most popular or whatever. Somewhere, if you pull back an old video, it would have a description. And it would have my email in there. But I think in the bio, I'm pretty sure I have my email. So if it's so important, you can always email me. And, but if you're trying to just like talk about stuff with everybody in the comments, like I do get blocked. And it's definitely not me deleting them. And I don't have any idea how what they choose to delete or anything. But somebody yesterday was asking when I got my brain injury and how I got it and stuff. And so I don't know if they're dealing with somebody who has a brain injury. But so I got mine in 2009 and I went into the hospital to get a hysterectomy. And they told me that it was serious, like this horrible thing happening. I wish I would have just done things differently now, but you know, shoulda, woulda, coulda. You can't. That was what I was there to learn from. So you can't go back and change things just because you don't like how they turn out. That's the lessons, and that's what we're here for. So I went in to the. They said I had fibroids, and I had already had so many issues. Like I hadn't had a period in a long time because I had an ablation. And so I guess apparently my uterus was filling with fibroids and blood. And it was trying to collapse and come out of my vagina, they said. And then I had to go in and they had to remove it. And there was a whole thing with my ovaries because they were so covered in cysts. They've always been covered in cysts. And so it was a whole thing with that. I ended up having to have 2 surgeries. Like it was a fucking nightmare, man. But in the first one, the anesthesiologist pulled some shenanigans. There's a lot of malarkey happening in there. And they did a spinal. Well, he attempted to do a spinal. And I have scoliosis and he couldn't get it in there. And so he pushed in 6 or 7 times into my spinal fluid. And your spinal fluid is its own enclosed system. It only does your brain. It has a very enclosed little roller coaster system, it does. And it's a pressurized system. And so he poked, it was 6 or 7 holes in my lower back, and they all leaked out all the fluid. And they never checked. Nobody ever checked. Nobody checked my back. Nobody checked the thing I was laying on. Nothing, ever. Not from the moment I was in recovery, nothing. Nothing was passed on report, nothing. Nobody was told anything. I should have been on the neuro. I should have been in ICU. At the point where I had no fluid in my back, in my thing, and then they moved me to a private room. I swear to God, they were just waiting for me to fucking die. It trips me out because I worked on the neuro floor. I was there when this happened before to somebody, and it was fucking huge. And it was a whole fucking thing about lawsuits and everything. It was like huge when this happened. And they were taking the lady down to ICU because she was on our floor, and we were the neuro floor. And you know, and we had to go through classes and be taught about the CSF and all that, because there would be a lot of those kinds of surgeries where they could have that interfered with. And so but that happened to me, and nobody knew anything. Nobody talked about nothing. So I was there I never even saw a doctor until day 3. And day 3, and I was begging from the time I woke up, from the time I got to the floor, and from surgery. I was begging him to get a doctor, to call a doctor, or something was wrong. I kept telling him, and it just got worse and worse. And the pain was so bad, I couldn't lay down. And that is a thing about the CSF. You have to be laying flat in order to seal the hole on your back. And I had 6 or 7, and all the fluid had already drained out. And so my brain was already collapsing. It was herniating because the pressurized system pulls it. So your brain starts herniating and sucking down into your spinal cavity. And so the front of my brain collapsed, and it was sucking out the back. But since I wasn't supposed to die, I didn't. I was only supposed to be put into a new direction in life and challenges and stuff. So I wasn't meant to die from it, but started a lot of challenges. It's changed my whole life. And so in day 3 is when the doctor came in and saw me, and you should have seen his face too, Dr. Fern. He comes walking in like all cheerful, like bringing his cut, like, hey, I'm coming in, probably discharge you today, you know? You haven't even fucking seen me, dude. I've been begging and begging, asking somebody to tell you to come in. You're fucking telling him to give me a cup of tea. So as soon as he walked in, he had this like big old smile on his face, like he was so happy. And he looked at me, and his whole face dropped. Everything changed. And it was like the life was drained out of him. And he sat down next to the bed. I'm pretty sure my mom was sitting there. I couldn't even really talk. All I could do really was moan. There was a period of time where I couldn't really talk anymore. I was just like, I was in so much pain. And it was the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. And I had my kids natural. And so I had always said the worst pain I'd ever felt in my life was childbirth. But this overrid that. And it was horrible. And so when he came in, and I kept being like curled up in a ball where you're supposed to be flat, but I couldn't, like, it was so horrible. So I kept being sitting up, and I was like curled up, and I was just laying there like moaning and moaning. And then they try and talk, and I don't even know what my face looked like. I was probably drained of all life. And then they ordered a CT scan, and then it was a fucking huge ordeal to get to that. Took all fucking day. And could finally get there. Then the fucking, I mean, it is just so strange. There's so much negligence. And I cannot even fucking believe that they, like, the lawsuits and shit, like, the hospitals need to be going down. It's so fucking bullshit. So then they sent me to get the CT scan. The CT scan came back, but the doctor wouldn't give the report until he got to the next day, because he had to get to a comparison one. He was not going to give a report until he had a comparison, because possibly, you know, I could just be living with a flattened brain. You know, that could just be a thing. So he wouldn't give any information until he saw the next one. So then the next day, day 4, then the doctor came in and said a neurologist was coming. And he couldn't tell me anything about the CT. He just said a neurologist was coming. And so then the neurologist came, and he ordered more tests. And I think that is when they took me to a private room and moved me and put me on an IV and stuff. Because I had the IV out right away in the very beginning, because I don't like IV drugs. And I was like, I don't want maybe they kept the IV in, but they put me back on the IV drugs. They made me go back on the IV drugs. And it moved me down there and stuff. And then they ran more tests. Then they came back and said that I had, what did they call it? That I was having they didn't say a herniation. I heard that later at court, or talking to my lawyer or a doctor or something. That was they referred to it as fuck, I can't remember. It made it sound like it wasn't as bad or something. And then they said that I would have to go and get a blood patch, and they would go in and take blood out of me and then put it into my back, and then wait till it congealed to stop the leak because there could be no fluid. There was no fluid that was staying. I had no fluid in my brain for, well, it went on for like another month. But I was drained of all the fluid for 5 days before they even started trying to put any back in. And then once they put the blood patch on, then it started putting fluid back in. But that took like, I think it takes over a month. And so it was horrible. Because once they had done that, then they were like, okay, bye. And then I had to go home. And I was, oh my God, I was so out of it. And in every step I would take when I would walk, you could feel my brain hitting into my skull. There was no cushion. There was no padding. It was horrible. It was so painful. And that is when my kids started saying, like, you know, what's wrong with you? You have dementia or something? What's wrong with you? I couldn't remember things. Couldn't remember people. I couldn't remember how to drive. I couldn't remember. There was so many things. And I would go out and get lost. I couldn't remember where I was. I would be driving. I would call my mom. I'd be like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. It was like, I went through so many periods of total freak out. I was like a total freak out one day I had because I thought I was dead and I thought I was still in the hospital. I thought I was just in a dream. I was just in some sort of coma. I never got out of the hospital. And so I was just like, and I lost, I had no track of time. I had lost all, it was like a huge shift out of consciousness. It completely changed my recognition or my ability to like partake in this reality. Like the reality started falling apart, and I started seeing things, and then I started saying stuff to people. It was especially when time, it was trippy when all of a sudden time was just like, I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't tell if it had been 10 minutes or 2 hours. I couldn't tell. Like, it was really weird. I would have no idea, you know, it was trippy. And now I'm like more used to that. And now time is just so whacked. Time is just becoming wacky for everybody. But that had already happened to me. Like, a lot of these things I've already had gone through as part of my, you know, I believe it was all a part of my awakening. That had to start back. And, you know, whatever. I mean, we all have different things and different roles. But that is, you know, when I got the brain injury, it was in '09. The first few years were the hardest, for sure. And then you just have people, like, you lose people just drop off, people think you're weird, you're different, you know. And my family all just start being like, oh, you know, I was different. And my attitude was different, the things I looked at was different, my processing was different, everything was different. And then I was going through still, you know, insecurity crisis or whatever. I went right into another relationship. It was just total, the worst one. It was like the bottom of my bottom. And I went into that one. And that was, you know, that was where the big collapse happened. It was like that had to be a part of it. I had to go back into another shitty relationship to see that was not my answer. And it had to all collapse the way it collapsed so that I would stop and see. Because that is when that's when things really start changing in my life. Once that happened, it just made me question things so much. Just on the fact of thinking that you have more control in the relationship, and then that person leaves you. And then it's like, what? And then there's just a whole thing. But just my biggest thing was the recognition of my own patterns. I was like, oh my God, that's when I really got to face myself. And that's why I talk about like this dark night that is everybody's got hanging there that's about to go down. It seems horrible when you go through it, but it's such a blessing. It's such a blessing to get through it, to relieve. It's like a relief. It's like relieving yourself of parts of yourself that you don't know, like these bad patterns and stuff. And so it was hard to go through, but once that relationship went, and I went through the dark night of facing myself, and why do I go in these bad relationships? What am I trying to get, like, just really trying to understand myself, and seeing the patterns, and seeing how I was always giving myself away. I wasn't loving myself. I was putting up with so much shit all the time. And so it's just this period of time where you just come into yourself, but you have to face those things in order to break free from them. You can't break free from something you're not willing to face. So that's why it's a blessing the universe is forcing everyone to face this stuff so that they can break free from it, because it feels so good once you do. Once you break free from your patterns and your victim mentality, it's a blessing. It just takes off in a whole new way. And then you start coming at things more, what is that word? More like you're more present. You're more going towards something with a more direct, like you're more directing yourself. So things start changing. Your life starts changing. You start seeing things different. You start feeling different. You start being more directed of how you want to move through. And that isn't just like what I'm saying about the people who are trying to, manifest their best life and just make something that, may not be theirs. Because that's what so many people, they're trying to manifest something that they're not here for. And then they're just frustrated because it's not happening and they think they're doing it wrong. But you got to get tuned into what you're here for. Like, fuck. This is different than what I thought. Even when they were telling me, like, I was being told throughout different time periods. And I would still be like, that's weird. Well, I'm just going to, do this and do that, But the universe will, fine tune it. They will get you going in the direction that they want you in. But there is a part of like relieving and releasing yourself from where you're trying to get to, when it's not even your destination. It's not even where you're supposed to be going, and you're desperately trying to get there. And so it's like this whole thing of letting that go and getting on the track of where you're supposed to be, and then starts moving full speed ahead. You'll start going in a direction that will feel good. You'll feel like, oh, it's in alignment with your soul. You're in tune with where you're going because you're on your track. You're on your right track. So it is like coming into this union to self helps you get on that track. But there's all these different levels. There's all these different things that occur as you're going through it. And all the things like in like our life, our reality has to crash around, because we can't hold on to that stuff. All that stuff has to crash and go. We can't hold on to that stuff anymore. It's like you have to be ready and willing to become the creator of the reality that you want. But that's the thing, is there's a reality that you're here for. So it's not like you're creating the reality you want, but it is like you're creating this reality that you want because your soul wanted it, and then you come in to create it. But then your job as a creator is what you do with the stuff, like how you create it. Just like what I was talking about yesterday. So like people who have a lot of stuff about agriculture is a part of them. And then, there's communities out there that need to be being built. And so depending on the person's own insecurities, see, they can block themselves. Well, I don't know enough. Well, I wouldn't be able to do that. Well, I can't do that. Instead of just going into it. Once you walk into it, things just start happening for you, because that's where you're supposed to be. But you got to get into tune with that part of yourself that is directed. But then once you start going, that is where you get to see yourself. That's where you get to see what you do with the stuff, because the stuff will start coming to you. And so then you get to see like how far you can take something, how much you can do, what you can do. But nothing is going to be coming to you when you're on the wrong track. When you're on the wrong track, it's just going to always be like, things don't go right, things fall apart, it's frustrating. There's a huge difference once you get on your highway, once you get on your path, the way you're supposed to go, then things will start going. I just think so much of people's lives is them trying to force something because they're disconnected from themselves. So they're trying to force something like their avatar or success or what other people believe or whatever. So they're working towards something, but it's not their path. Your path will just be going like a canoe on a river that's moving. You'll start going. When you are just keep hitting into block after block and nothing is going, you're defeated, that is when you're not going the right direction. And so, but there is an aspect to witnessing yourself when you are on the right track, that it is, it's kind of like observing yourself in a waltz or something. Like if you could sit back and watch yourself in a waltz. And so it's a way of watching you dance with the universe, you know? It's all a dance. It's all really is, all is dance with the universe. So anyways, that's what I got to say about it. So you just remember to love yourself, love everybody, and have a loving day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.